Hello and welcome to the Star Trek convention. I am Heather Ferris, your unofficial host for STLV 2019, and I am joined by Fred and Rocky, and we are seeing an extra special panel, Kate Mulgrew. Kate Mulgrew, I think, is one of the most anticipated panels.
This woman is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
So
yeah.
we're looking forward to providing our commentary after.
Exactly. Watch the panel, join us afterwards for our commentary, and we are looking forward to seeing you there. See you soon.
How are you all? I'm delighted to be here in conversation with Amy Imhoff, whom I know, but I will let her take the lead. Yes.
Yes. Well, you've had a very busy year, haven't you?
I've had a great year, Amy.
She has been everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Book out in May.
My second book, How to Forget, was published on May 21st. Thank you. This was a tougher one. I think it's a better one. I went away to Ireland. It took me 5 years. My oldest son got a little sick, and that interrupted the process momentarily. It's not at all what I wanted to write, Amy. By the way, those colors look familiar, but that dress is of a different configuration than anything I was allowed to wear.
Not exactly Star Trek regulation.
No. And the wand, the hair thing, very, very good.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Yes, so I wrote about my parents in the loneliness of Ireland. It was austere, it was cold, it was wet, it was bleak, and I went deep. And I found out things that I never dreamed I'd find out at this stage of the game. The tap, tap, tap of the psychic ice pick emerged, and the book had its way with me. So I've written it, and I'll be selling it tomorrow. I hope you'll stop by. It's called How to Forget. How they lived and how they died and how I was defined by them.
And Kate will be doing a signing tomorrow from 10 to 1 of just the book on a complimentary basis. So please get the book in the dealer room. The Barnes & Noble.
What does that mean? I compliment everybody who gets the book?
I mean,
And I will, yes.
So not only do you have the book out, you finished the final season of Orange is the New Black.
I finished the final season. But I then went on to do another series called Mr. Mercedes immediately after we finished. So I don't think I've had time to understand exactly the effect of it all 7 seasons. I will say this. I imagine a smattering of you, and only a smattering of you have actually watched the entire 7th season. Oh, well, that's a nice resounding cry. Red did not fare well. But perhaps this is a reflection, and certainly vis-a-vis Genji Cohen, of what happens to women as they age in prison, especially given the corruption under which they age. So it was hard for me because I am taken down by the very illness that debilitated my beloved mother, which is what I write about in How to Forget. Little did I know that Red would suffer this affliction. And when Genji Cohen called me at the beach last summer, before we started shooting, and she said, I need to talk to you about how I think Red should go out. I had a small, icy tingle, and I understood it was going to be tough, but I didn't think it was going to be quite that tough. Because madness is something that needs to be carefully and beautifully explored. And there really wasn't enough time in Orange is the New Black, I think, to give the devil its due in this case. But we did it, and that's how she goes out.
And you had a hand in saying that it shouldn't actually be Alzheimer's, it should be...
Well, I said, I don't think we have enough time to color this blue. You're asking me to make such broad strokes regarding an illness that, in my opinion, is exquisitely pernicious. I mean, this thing is so diabolical and so shaded, so textured, that if I played every minute of every hour of all 13 episodes in the final season, it probably wouldn't have been enough to examine it as carefully and as diligently as I think it needs to be examined. So I did the best I could, but they were leaps. And senile dementia, Alzheimer's, call it what you will. It's not pretty.
No, but you did a stellar job portraying.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
So you went right from Red to Mr. Mercedes, which, in case the audience is not familiar...
Anybody ever heard of it? Mr. Mercedes, based on the Stephen King trilogy, written by the incomparable David Kelly, and showrun by the divine and actually unparalleled Jack Bender. And I played a psychopathic, nymphomaniacal pedophile. And babies, I loved it. It was so liberating. I haven't felt like that since I was 22 years old. Should we continue this conversation? Go figure. Out of the arms of dementia, into the fire of psychopathy. As she's a serial murderer. She's absolutely unpredictable. She's very smart. She's deeply wicked. And I dug every scintilla of her being.
I saw you holding an axe in one of the promo photos, and I was
I
like,
held it. I did stuff with it. Oh, yeah. I did stuff with the axe, and I did stuff with the wood chipper. I did stuff with a young man. I did whatever I wanted to do. Any further questions?
we are all going to be very surprised.
But you know what the interesting thing is, Amy? Why I just leapt like a kid into that fire. Totally ready for it. Jack Bender would shout from the air, go get the wine glass, get the axe, chop her head off. I'd say, you got it. Baby, come here. I need to give you a glass of wine and talk to you about something. Great stuff.
Great stuff. And if anyone doesn't know who Jack Bender is, maybe you've heard of a little show called Lost.
Lost, The Sopranos,
Yeah.
terrific showrunner, director, writer, genius.
Capable hands.
Yeah. And Gabe Ebert played my little, for lack of a better way of putting it, boy toy. And we had a great time.
It's a whole new side of Kate.
Shocking.
A whole new side of you.
They don't want to hear it. Let's go back to Janeway.
So I know that you're going to get the question, which is, will Admiral Janeway be on the Picard show? As you can see, they want it.
First of all, I think it's terrific what Alex Kurtzman is doing. I mean, I can't wait to see what it looks like. And I can't wait to see what Patrick Stewart is doing. I'll bet he's doing some sort of really remarkable work at this stage of the game. I understand that Jerry Ryan is
Yes.
a part of that.
Seven will be
It's all very, very exciting, and it's very broad thinking. And I'm waiting for that phone call. Breathlessly. It'll be fun. But it's his show, and I wish them all the best. Very, very best.
wonderful. See, we've already covered Picard, which I know is what most of you wanted. But so if you were to return to Admiral Janeway, where do you think she is? What do you think she's up to?
I don't really know. As I said to a few of the people in the VIP room, I think Janeway's first and foremost a scientist. She may, of course, her rank notwithstanding, her longing and her passion and her essence is to explore, to discover. That's why I said to those guys in that room, it was terrible that we got lost in the Delta Quadrant. I spent my life apologizing for it. But I don't think Janeway felt so bad about it.
She had the opportunity to discover
everything.
worlds.
And that is really, I think, what made her beat. I love that about her.
You get so many women now who are in their 30s
And scientists are
scientists,
the
30s,
most
40s.
impassioned group. Really, it's an extraordinary thing. And an extraordinary time, I think, to be alive and to be a scientist. And to be a female scientist is now. There will be leaps and bounds now taken, I think. It's inevitable in a very exciting way and auspicious way, yes.
And I think that there's a phenomenon called the Scully effect, because Scully predates Janeway by about 2 years, that women went into hard sciences and law enforcement because of her. However, I think that based on the feedback that you've been getting, that there's a Janeway effect, because so many women in politics have been citing you, and there was a New York Times article where Stacey Abrams from Georgia and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York cited you as an influence. You're shaping our political future.
That's very flattering. And if even a modicum of that is true, I'm exalted. But I think that it is true, certainly, culturally. What Paramount does is a harbinger of what will come to pass. So that Janeway was the first female captain and a scientist was no mistake. It was well-intentioned, it was clear-eyed, And it was obviously prescient, because science is the field that Janeway most impacted, I believe. And if I could take that to my grave, I will be a very privileged and honored person, I'll tell you. Let's take some questions
Yeah, let's
now,
take some
Amy, shall we?
questions.
Do you all have some questions for me? Where are you? There. There and there. Yes, yes, do start.
Hi, Kate. It's nice to see you again.
And you?
To follow up on Amy's question, I do know what Janeway is currently up to, but you'll have to wait for the book. My question, though, is last year, Netflix released a trailer for Orange is the New Black,
Yeah.
which there was a brand new captain's log from Catherine Janeway.
Yes, Netflix did a fabulous job on that trailer, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And I would like to know how that came about.
There was Janeway, and then she saw red on the view screen, and it was like a captain's log, and you did the voiceover.
I did?
Yes. It was about maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A year or two ago. Yep. It was because Netflix. Voyager is the most popular Star Trek on Netflix. You guys know that?
Well, that's very, very good to know. You've refreshed my memory. Thank you. That's it?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how that came about.
Well, Amy will explain it to you.
Well,
Netflix knows how to cover everything.
well, to have Janeway back for even a brief moment,
Yes.
remarkable.
That was smart, wasn't it?
It was.
Yes, very good, very
We
good. Yeah.
all hope that Janeway comes back.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Coming to the conventions, it seems like current casts of series, the actors are a little more hesitant, a little more cautious to be totally positive. And the people that who shows ended 20, 30 years ago, they tend to give you a little more of the real scoop. They're a little more open. Who did get along with who? What happened? How does that feel like being removed from a show for 20 years as opposed to current series?
25.
What you can talk about, is there a freedom when you haven't been on the show for a long time as opposed to one that's current?
I felt that freedom then. I don't have any problems, honestly, in the moment. Actors are by nature skittish. We get fired a lot. We lose jobs a lot. We get rejected a lot. And when we get a good job, we want to hold on to it. So there's a shyness, a wariness, a carefulness. But I've never felt that. I mean, I just don't. It's not my DNA. So I'm happy to share at all times, all things. It's a wonderful thing to play a great part. So if these guys are a little more reticent, maybe it's because they maybe are being counseled to be a little more reticent. Maybe their story is a little, in and of itself,
You gotta keep
differently
the secrets.
shaped. Huh?
Keep the secrets of the show.
Keeping the secrets, exactly. I don't think I divulged everything at the time, but I talked about Janeway, quite frankly, in case you hadn't noticed. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, ma'am.
Hi, thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure to see you. You are my hero.
Thank you. Oh, nice.
So I'm wondering, with everything that's happening in our world today, do you think Star Trek should get back to the topical things that they tackled in the 60s during the
The
class?
Prime Directive? Is that what you're talking about?
Well-
The essential issues of transcendence of race, creed, species,
Yes,
etc.
exactly.
Humanity, compassion, etc.,
Right.
etc. Absolutely. It's the banner. That's what Roddenberry wanted. That's the whole idea. But I believe that Kurtzman is revitalizing that, philosophically. Am I wrong? I haven't seen Discovery. And frankly, I haven't seen the movies. Don't blame me. I've said this a million times. I'm very territorial about Janeway and what I did for 7 years. So I don't see everything else. Not because I'm myopic, but because I don't know.
No, they're
Megalomaniacal about Janeway. But
they're really not tackling those things. It's more like
They're not?
space opera.
No, I think they are. I think they are.
You think so? I mean, I love the show.
is this a millennial targeted demographic? Discovery? Is it?
Yeah.
Just trying to capture the imagination of the millennial generation. Well, the millennials aren't like the baby boomers, right? Very, very different way of thinking. Very different way of living. So we have to shape our creative products accordingly. And I'm sure that they are. But they will never let it go, love. they will never let the heart and soul of what Star Trek means go. No.
Captain Pike says, "You're a Starfleet captain," which is on my bracelet. "Service, sacrifice, compassion, and love."
Right.
They're still there.
That's, of course, there. It will always be there. Never fear. Yes.
Morgan has a question for you.
Hey, good to see you again.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Miss Mulgrew, I work in a library, so I love asking people this. Other than your own, of course, which I both read and they're amazing, but other than your own books, what is one book you think everyone should read?
One?
Or multiple, but I don't want to...
It's an impossible question asked to a voracious reader. The Russians, start with the Russians, maybe end with the Russians, but complete as much of the Russians as you can. By that I mean Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, the brothers Karamazov, certainly War and Peace, Anna Karenina, Turgenev, Chekhov, the Russians. And then go to the French, Victor Hugo. You should read, Stendhal. You should read all the American greats. I'm reading Flannery O'Connor all over again. And Thomas Burton, the great Trappistine monk, who wrote beautifully, yes. I don't know how to counsel that. Read. You're a librarian. What do you read? Are you coughing?
Very on the spot. No, I'm just conflicted.
What's your favorite book? You can't answer.
It is difficult, I agree.
Oh, you bet it's difficult.
I just recently read a book called The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime.
Very well written. By somebody with autism or Asperger's. What was it?
Mm-hmm.
Asperger's?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes, very clever. Very,
It's
very
a
good.
beautiful play. It definitely sheds light on
I like that book.
different perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, good for you. I love librarians. It's a dying art because people aren't reading anymore. How many here have an actual hard copy of a book with them?
Who has Kate's book?
I'm telling you that's Star Trek. Do you see? See this audience? Smart. Wherever I go, I say that. The smartest, the most discerning, the most literary, the best. Yes. I say it wherever I go. I get a lot of pushback about it because everybody says, wow, isn't that crazy? Isn't that? I said, yeah, crazy you'll never understand. Because you don't have the intelligence to get there. It's called an intellectual imagination that transcends all of that nonsense. I'm really very, very impressed by Trekkers. And the way you think, we think, the way we think. It's an exalted and elevated way of thinking. It's the best way of thinking. Yes.
Hi, I met you in New Jersey at a book signing, and I love your book. Anyone who has anything to do with being a medical advocate for older parents and like that, get the book because it really sets the tone of what it's like to have to deal with on a regular basis. But anyway, the question.
Thank you.
Thank you. The question is this: your character Janeway is notoriously passionate about coffee. However, Kate Mulgrew, what is your passionate drink or what you love in way of drinks? That coffee, tea, or whatever.
Coffee, tea, or whiskey? When I'm in Ireland, I drink tea. When I'm in America, New York, or France, I drink coffee. And when I'm alone, or with someone I love wine, good wine. And I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I love a wee drop of whiskey, I do. Gentle's the condition, as Bennett says. Yes.
Hello. It's my first convention. I'm a little nervous. I wrote my question down. I'm sorry. I should be reading it. So what goes into being number one on the call sheet for a series that ran 7 seasons? Can you talk about the stamina and the rigor required of you to pull that off?
Well, there you go. In a nutshell, discipline. Real discipline. And a kind of ardor, I would say. I was passionate about it. Unflaggingly, unstintingly passionate about it. I wanted to endow her with a new kind of humanity. I wanted to imbue her with a different sensibility. I was crazy about Janeway. And as I fell in love with Catherine Janeway, I really wanted to pick her up and give her new wings. Wings that the Star Trek community had not seen before. Having said that, and to that end, I had 2 small children at home. I was a single mother. So I would tell you that I had a rigid schedule, to which I adhered for 7 years. I never went into that soundstage cold. Not one day. I learned my lines every single night. That was number 1. Number 2, I determined to endow the technobabble with as much meaning as I could. That was hard. What's your name?
Richard.
Richard, that was really, really, really hard. Because I could have faked it, and perhaps it's meant to be faked, but I doubt it. So I went to the Akuta Bible, which I've said before, and I studied it. And the Akuta Bible led me to Richard Feynman, who was a physicist, as I'm sure most of you know, but an eminently readable physicist. And I learned from them how to sort of couch these terms in an understandable and sympathetic way. So when I finished, I should give you this little bit, Richard. Before I actually started, Patrick Stewart said to me, I said, I have to confess to you, Patrick, I'm scared. I mean, this thing is really daunting. I feel like I'm shut out of the canon. He said, don't worry. After 7 years, you'll walk away, and you will be so proud of what you've done, if it's anything like what I've done. And he was proud. And guess what? He was right to be proud. And so am I. Thank you, Richard.
This question hasn't been asked to you too many times before. My apologies if it has. But anyway, Rich Colby was a great director. He did some of the best episodes of TNG and Voyager, including the pilot. And I only found a couple of years ago that he was a big part of your life for a few years. And I thought that was really cool. I mean, a great Star Trek director and a great Star Trek actress sharing their lives together. So unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But I'm curious to know if you have a lot of fond memories of Mr. Colby, and if it was tricky balancing your life away from the set, with your lives on the set.
Vinrich Kolbe. That's how you say it. Vinrich Kolbe, German. Yes, we became involved. Which you really shouldn't do if you're going to do Star Trek, because it's too hard. But on the one hand, he really helped me. I remember the first day, this is before we became involved, my very first walk onto the bridge from my ready room. I was scared. That was nerve-wracking, with all those suits standing at the lip of the bridge, just waiting. I mean, I don't know if they were waiting to watch me fail, but they were waiting to watch me do something wrong. Because it was a kind of waiting like this. And we were in my ready room. I was making the entrance from the ready room, and Kolbe said to me, this is your living room. You can't do anything wrong. You own it. And then the doors opened and out I went. And he gave me the first great push. He was an excellent companion to have through that period of time, and a very, very talented, smart, and lovely human being. And I'm sorry he's no longer with us. Thank you for that question, which was frankly unsettling. Thank you.
All right, well, hello there.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you, basically, you and Emilia Clarke share a couple of interesting distinctions.
We do?
Yes, we do. First of all...
Isn't she the one with the dragon babies?
She was. She's a leading lady on an epic sci-fi fantasy show, just like you were. But also, the both of you were cast in your roles after a different actor inhabited those roles in the pilot. So my question to you is there a role that you passed on that you regret? Can you talk about that a little bit?
That I regret?
Yeah. Role that was not a role.
No. I'm pretty discerning. No.
But like nothing that was turned out to be epic that would have triggered a bigger movie career or more.
Well, I think I probably would have recognized it at the time.
Thank you. You rock.
Thank you. Anyway, I don't think Emilia Clarke was a sci-fi. Game of Thrones is fantasy. It's not sci-fi. And never the twain shall meet.
Kate told me something pretty
Dragon babies. We don't have dragon babies. Yes.
What house do you think Kate belongs to? What house on Game of Thrones do you think Kate belongs to?
What house?
What house? I know, Bennett told me what house. She's House Lannister, you guys.
I never saw it, much of it. Everybody's now, Bennett's going to give me pushback on this. I saw a couple of episodes because I was intrigued by the Lannisters because the brother and the sister were having sex. I mean, that's pretty riveting. And then I saw that boy fall out the window because he was doing peekaboo, right? And isn't that the whole story? Yeah, compare to science fiction. Next. Hi, how are you?
My question is, what specific things do you think can be done to decrease the stigma around birth parents and adoption?
The stigma around birth parents and adoption.
Yeah.
What can be done? That's up to Mother Nature, and you know she's not very kind in this regard. Women will continue to get pregnant when they don't want to be pregnant. And women will continue to want to be pregnant, and they won't be able to get pregnant. Because Mother Nature doesn't give a damn. As long as the human race goes on. We're going to fall, we're going to get up, we're going to fall down, we're going to get up again. Birth parents, the giving away, the renunciation of children, the reclamation of those children, it's all incredibly complicated, fiercely sad, one might argue unbridgeable. I think as long as we remain human, and we choose life, as long as we love life and one another, it's going to be okay. But it cannot be without its flaws and its difficulties, love. Because 'twas ever thus, right? We don't choose a lot of the time, it just happens. Doesn't answer it very well, but I mean it about love.
I think that's a great answer.
Thank you, and thank you for that question. Yes,
Hi, Miss Mulgrew.
hi.
You probably don't remember me, but we met in 2006 at the Secaucus, New Jersey convention.
Secaucus, yeah.
I was 13, and I asked you for advice on how to be an actress.
I remember this. I was there too.
You were?
Yes.
Amy, you were?
I do. I remember this question.
Okay. So my question isn't directly for you. What I want to explain to everybody is Kate was the sweetest, most honest person, and to be honest, even going and getting my 2 bachelors from the University of Central Florida in theater and film, she has probably given me the best advice out of all my teachers, directors, and everybody I've ever worked with. And at the end of all of it, she got the entire room to stand up and applaud for me.
Yeah.
And it was one of the biggest, most inspirational moments in my life. So, I would like everybody here who has ever been inspired by this amazing, talented woman to please stand for a round of applause.
How lovely. I hope you're a very successful actress. You're certainly a deep one. Wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
I love and respect Janeway.
And you.
You're trying to be you.
I see.
My question is, as Kate Mulgrew, you faced this challenge, but let's say Janeway in the earlier years, if she was married and had children, do you think she would have become Captain Janeway?
You know, you broads are on fire today. Probably. And I say that as if I'm tiptoeing through a field of nettles, because it was so hard to play it and raise my two boys, who to this day have not seen me on Star Trek Voyager, and never will. My youngest son, who is now an accomplished painter, said to me, visited me in New York last week, we were having said whiskey on the couch, and I said, you know, it's extraordinary that you've never seen me on Star Trek. You've never seen me as Captain Janeway? He said, and I never will. And that's my prerogative as a son who missed you every day for 7 years. So, you know, I would have to say he's got a point. But then so does Janeway have a point. If we're born with the capacity for other things, with the deep and vibrant and what's more, true capacity for other things, like space exploration, like great acting, like writing, like science, we must pursue it. It's absolutely a no-brainer. And you must say, get down on your knees to the children who are going to fill you with so much guilt. You are going to stagger to your grave saying, thank God that's over, right? You have to get down and say to them, and look into their beady little blue eyes and say, Mommy wants to go to outer space. Mommy wants to be an actress. Mommy loves you too, but she loves this as well. Mommy's gonna do it. Mommy's gonna do it. But having said that, and I love you with your cup of coffee, you just can't win, not yet. Women still can't win. I don't know when. It's coming, but it's so coming so slowly. I just want women to be able to go to work in whatever field of passion they've elected to choose, and I want them to feel good about it. I don't want them to feel that crossed shadow. It should not be pursuing them. They should be free, because women are bloody excellent, as every woman in this room knows. Yeah, women are great. Is that my girl?
That's Marina. Hello, Kate.
How are you, sweetheart?
So good to see you again.
Yeah, she's a good friend of mine.
Wanted to find out more about Mr. Mercedes. How exactly did this role come about? Did they reach out specifically to you, or you had to audition? So a little bit more detail, if whatever you can share.
Thank you, Marina. No, it was an offer. David Kelly liked me very much, and Jack Bender liked me, so they offered it to me. I think they probably thought, I got a few offers right out of the gate the minute we finished Orange is the New Black, because I think that everybody in the community knew that I was free. I got a couple of offers, and they were quite good. Some of them quite juicy. And I said no to them and yes to this, because she terrified me. Alma Lane and her very, very wicked ways. But I thought, this will liberate me. This will set me free. So I was emboldened. I accepted it, and I went down, and I have to tell you, Marina, I just loved it. I loved it. I know there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for why we fall in love with evil people. I mean, she was an evil character, but I loved her.
Where did you film? Where was this?
Charleston, a pretty town, but not without its historic shadows, for lack of a better way of putting it, which sort of haunted me. Does that answer your question, Marina?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
It's great seeing you again. I have a comment and a question.
Yeah.
That's in regards to your book. So my comment is, in many interviews, I hear people ask you if writing the book is cathartic, and this is my comment to that. There's an area that beckons transformation when we face tragedy and challenges. A fish doesn't know it needs water until it's out of it. So my question to you is that at 49, I've come to accept that the vulnerability that honesty requires isn't something that everyone can handle. Failing to be transparent allows people to be comfortable. So what about your own transparency through expounding on this journey of your book with your parents that you can impart to others and challenging them to deal with their own transparency challenges, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously?
What's your name?
Arla.
Are those your words?
Yes, ma'am.
They're excellent.
Thank you.
My God, woman, that's really beautifully, eloquently put. about women. Woo! And you put the needle to me in those comments. Because I got away with murder most of my life in terms of concealing my vulnerability. I could play at it, give you a little peek, sort of make you think that I was deeply vulnerable without exposing myself at all. Got away with it for years. In writing How to Forget, there was simply no way out. I had to walk the plank. And that meant I had to revisit Kate Mulgrew as she was as a little girl, vis-a-vis my parents. And I had to revivify the two people who shaped me. That excavation demanded truth and vulnerability. So I wept almost every day, alone in that house in Ireland. And here's the funny thing, it's never cathartic. Don't write a book thinking it's going to be therapeutic, because it's not. It's not. End up shooting yourself right in the head. Even now, everything resonates. It was profoundly disturbing. But if you want to write the truth about who you loved and what they meant to you, it's going to cost. So I would say, get down to it if you're going to be a serious artist. If you're not interested in being a serious artist and you'd rather deflect or avoid this kind of vulnerability, then by all means step aside. But as far as self-exploration is concerned, or advancing yourself as a human being, I'd say, grab your guts and walk that plank. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Kate.
How are you?
And how are you?
I'm good, love.
So Captain Janeway has been one of my all-time favorite characters, not just across Star Trek, but across fiction in general. And one of the reasons for that is watching her decision-making process and thinking along with her in socially relevant decisions of so many that she's made on the show. And my question for you is, out of all of those tough, socially relevant decisions that Captain Janeway had to make, which one was your favorite or most interesting for you to work on?
I like this question.
It was a philosophical decision. In the episode, I think it was a two-parter with Q, Death
Wish.
Was it Death Wish?
Yeah, single part.
When the young Q, the nephew, does not want to live forever, and he argues for termination. And I, of course, Janeway, who is so life-leaning, so deeply filled with the credence of life, the tenets of life, I encourage him to accept eternal life. But he bends me to his way of thinking. I thought that was a beautiful, for lack of a better way of putting it, come to Jesus for Janeway. She was forced to listen to a different way of thinking. She was forced to exercise compassion for someone with whom she disagreed profoundly. And she, in the end, deferred to his humanity. And that's what I loved about Captain Janeway. Thank you.
That was beautiful, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, thank you for being here, Ms. Mulgrew. In Next Gen, there was an episode where they made mention of an Ensign Janeway. Does
What?
They mentioned an Ensign Janeway.
How dare they? Who wrote that?
I don't know who wrote that, but my question was going to be if Janeway maybe have relatives in Starfleet.
Her dad was an admiral.
But why would she ever? She was never an ensign.
I guess she'd have to start as an ensign.
Well, I don't even think she started as an ensign. I don't really understand that. I mean, I don't really know what to say. What, do you understand it?
I see what he's saying, but I don't think there's a correlation.
No,
they probably just had the name in the...
Maybe I was a relative, but I don't think Janeway was really a relative to any ensigns. Really. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Yes.
Kate, thank you, first of all, for being who you are. I wanted to let you know that I met Janeway as an adult. I'm in a leadership role, and to see a strong female woman being in charge and being confident has changed the way I lead. But since I have you here in front of me, do you have any advice for me and the other women in the room who are in roles of leadership?
This is a good one to end on.
Yeah, this is a very good one to end on, and a tough one. You better come forward now, as you have never dared to come forward before. It is time for women to rise up, unafraid, to understand that we have every right in the world to rise up, to return to the world what it has given to us tenfold. We are equal, and we are in many ways better, and we are in many more ways deeply empathetic as a gender, but we are a passionate, powerful, smart, altogether fearless gender. And it is time to stand up, and it is time to rise up. So on that note, I say, thank you, Las Vegas.
And we are back. Again, I am Heather Ferris, your unofficial host for STLV 2019, and I am joined by Fred and Rocky. And what did you guys think about that panel?
I love that woman so much.
Yes!
Kate Mulgrew is the bomb. I mean, she really is.
She's so fantastic.
Yeah, she's awesome. She has a commanding personality.
She takes the stage and she owns it.
Yeah, and she's so interesting. I mean, she just captures you with every word that she says.
Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised to hear that they didn't ask her to be on the Picard show.
I'm sure somebody's gonna get a little note there. It says, you guys gotta call it Kate.
Yeah. You must ask her. I would love to see that on the Picard show. All of the captains get together at least once, you know?
Yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah.
That would be really fantastic.
Although, I kind of wonder if, maybe they're holding back some,
They
surprise
probably
guest
are.
stars.
I just remember the stories of when Seven was added to Voyager, and they got the press people there. They're ready to go shoot and interview the new beautiful chick in the cat suit, and Kate Mulgrew is standing right there. They walk right past her.
Yeah.
Got to go get Seven, and Kate's there going, "I'm not small potatoes over here. Hello."
But I mean, since Jerry Ryan was the new person on the block,
See, it was the hot new thing. I mean,
you could understand
Yeah.
at least initially why.
But
reaction.
if you're gonna have somebody saying there, "What the hell are you doing, Jean-Luc?" Kate Mulgrew could do that.
That is so true.
She could
would have done
friggin' nail that, right?
That is so true.
So we love Kate. We can't wait to see her in more stuff.
Come back.
But let's not prejudge it until we see it.
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying, if you want to go speculate on stuff, I
Right.
felt like it was fun to bring that up.
Totally.
Agreed.
And I also thought too, do you guys remember that one question about the adoption and everything? The stigma between birth parents and adoption?
That is deep stuff.
That really was. And I just brought it up. I wanted to talk about it just really quick because it was sort of personal to me. I'm adopted. So I was adopted at 6 months and everything. And that was just something that was just really near and dear to my heart. And her answer, I mean, it was just so true. Life is not without, flaws. Life is not without difficulties.
I love that. She's given advice like that before, because, it is what it is. It's one of these phrases you hear. But Kate Mulgrew will say it with such a way that it makes you go, yeah.
She has a great way of explaining everything. She's really good at that. Really, really good at that. And I think that's also why she captures the heart of so many people. When I do these videos, for the years that I've been doing these videos, Kate Mulgrew and her panels, they have more fanfare and more views.
I was going to say, I've seen some of those numbers on the little YouTube thing, and hers was hot.
Always.
Big time.
Always, always, always.
Big
And
time.
everyone loves her, and it's just...
It's great to hear the woman talk.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know what it is, but she just really gets to you, your core, everything, you know?
Yeah, she's talking about deep stuff, not just superficial things. So,
and they gave her some questions about some deep stuff too.
Right, like about her book. They were asking her about her book and how she was saying she didn't really want to talk about something that vulnerable to her, and she actually had to sit down and focus on it, and it actually meant a lot to her. It changed her because of that, I think that was one thing. Also, too, another thing that she was talking about was Death Wish with the young Q.
Oh,
right?
yes.
You remember that?
That was a deep episode.
It really was.
I think that was an example of where Captain Janeway had a significant.
A come to Jesus
yes,
moment.
Yes, that was the phrase she used.
Correct.
Yes.
So significant, moral challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And she was in that episode, Janeway was forced to see something from someone else's perspective, even though she didn't agree with that person.
Yeah, you had wonderful episodes like that on Voyager with Kate, handling those big issues in a way that no one else could.
Right.
She brings that seriousness and thought into performances on things like this, and much more level than is necessarily written on the page. Because it's a spaceship show, right? With some issues, but they go right into the scripts and right into the issues and the words, and really make it something beautiful to bring out and think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that was special and unique about Voyager until I don't know, maybe the last season or two, we really didn't have contact with Starfleet, so it wasn't like Janeway could call an admiral.
Oh yeah, that was one of the best things about Voyager, because it was way out there, and nobody could help it. That's a joke we've always had with my family, because we did the motion picture, and Voyager was the alien in that, or the robot alien. And
here I thought it was just the 3 hours of sleep.
And we talk about Star Trek Voyager. Well, Voyager, because Voyager was the space probe originally. We'd always call Voyager Voyager, and because it was cute and short.
Hey, at least you didn't call Voyager Deep Space Nine.
Correct.
Like I did. Check out my live streams if you don't know what we're talking about.
Another inside joke.
Another inside joke.
Did anything else happen with Kate?
The only other thing with Kate was, and she does this a lot. She does this with a lot of her panels every year. The empowerment of women.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So.
God, she does it, and she nails it so good. I mean, gosh.
Definitely. And we're in the age right now where you see that. You see women rising up, you see minorities rising up, and you see just people coming into their own. And she was saying, if you feel something, if you're passionate about something, if you want to do something, rise up, do it. Don't let anyone else stop you. And it's very, very motivating.
Very motivational, yes.
Oh,
yes.
She should be a motivational speaker.
Well, she is. I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
She's
an actress, but she motivates. Totally. And then we had the book question. Did you get that? Get that written down?
No, I didn't. And they asked everyone.
You got the recording of it, right? So you watched it, you know which book or books.
Yeah.
And I remember that about her, a lot of her panels in past. She'd give book recommendations for sure.
Yeah.
That was a fairly common question for a lot of the panels.
Yeah.
I think it was almost every major
It's a good question, because reading something, what's good to read? What the heck's good to read? I don't know what's good to read. They don't have it sitting there on the shelf for me. They want me to buy a Star Trek book or something. But
Well, it was a librarian that asked the question, and
that's beautiful.
Yeah, because it's like, let's get people reading more. I don't think
we
people
need
read
read more.
enough,
Yeah, that's true. It is very true.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Okay.
Did you guys want to add anything more to that?
No, I think we've covered all the highlights.
I think
2
so.
thumbs up on Kate Mulgrew.
Definitely,
I mean, in all
fantastic.
seriousness,
Yeah.
a beautiful woman with beautiful thoughts and a
6
beautiful
thumbs
mind.
up. We
She
had
has-
2,
she-
4,
she
6.
has a
2, 4,
great
6.
level,
6
for
thumbs
sure.
up.
And a Vulcan high five.
Wait, okay, got it.
There you go. We'll see you in the next one.
See you on the next
So
one.
long.
Thank you.